Hello and welcome everyone to this 2023 astrology forecast. Here we are going to talk about the big transits of 2023 in general, and it will touch some themes of individual processes as well, because what happens on the collective happens on the personal level and vice versa. These things are not separate as we may think they are. So what happens on the other side of the planet happens within us as well. This is just an echo of our inner hidden feelings, emotions and triggers that are projected somewhere on the other side of the world. And the same happens in different direction as well, because we are all interconnected. There is a network, there is an energetic, emotional, mental and psycho-spiritual network and map that connects us all. There is a map, and during this year some of us may be able to use this map and to really learn how to use its guidance. And this will happen because of many reasons, and this year is definitely unpredictable, another unpredictable year, and we are facing some of the consequences of the last few years. They need to be confronted, and old structures are continuing to dissolve. Definitely there is no such thing as when new year begins there is a clear cut and we begin something new. No, these are continuing energies, and it's a flow, it's an unfolding process. And we are going to learn that we don't have to be all things, we don't have to be perfect. We are continuously growing and decaying, falling and rising. We are continuously going through ups and downs in life, and when we attach or identify with those ups and downs, we stay stuck in those suffering, repeating patterns. So we are continuing to release the karma. Actually, our whole life is about releasing that karma. We came here with specific bills and debts and awards, and call it as you will. Our natal chart is actually like a bill, and there is a certain karmic contract there that we have to release, to understand, to acknowledge and to release. And so much depends on how we approach what is happening in our life. So much depends on it, and too much analysis tends to get us stuck in our head, and we may not be able to control events, but we can control our responses. So in 2023 we are learning how to control our responses, how to be aware and conscious of those responses, our inner responses. And we should approach these things as an experiment, without attachments to the outcomes. We should learn how to play different roles without being attached to those roles, being able to learn the rules of the laws in this time and space. And there will be many endings during this time, also many endings, because I will talk about it. Pluto is a big game changer this year, even though it will have a short but very intense aspect on our lives, collectively and individually. And there are also great opportunities for healing and planting seeds. And the universe is conscious, and we are going to learn much more about it. The universe is a live being, and what we do and how we think has great influence on how these cycles manifest and how we experience them in life. And this year begins with two planets retrograde, Mercury and Mars. Two planets retrograde at the very beginning of the year, which means the year begins in a slow motion a little bit. It's a bit slow, it's not like something new, the feelings of newness and freshness, no, it's still not there, because these energies are still retrograde. Mars is retrograde in Gemini, and the ruler of Gemini, Mercury, is retrograde in Capricorn. And we are definitely asked to be more introspective, more reflective, more turned towards our inner worlds, our internal vision, to envision the world and ourselves in it, and the world in us. And this is important because this is how the year begins, and this is something that sets the tone for the whole year, which doesn't mean that the whole year will be in that same mode. Of course it won't, but it begins with our inner focus, and this inner focus will have a very strong effect on how we will receive things that happen in life, and how we will respond to situations that happen in life. And the first bigger transit that happens during this time is Saturn transiting into the sign of Pisces on the 7th of March. Saturn has been in Aquarius for the last 2.5 years, ever since 2020. And Saturn in Aquarius brought some social limitations and restrictions, restructuring of our social lives and our big hopes and dreams for the future. And we've experienced all collectively these restrictions and limitations, and we've learned some important lessons as well. I hope so. And now Saturn is about to move into Pisces. Pisces, the last sign of the zodiac. And Saturn and Pisces are not very complementary, but they have some things in common. Pisces is about multiple worlds and multiple dimensions. It's about understanding the multidimensional experience. It's about the transcendence, and it teaches us greatly about things that have no boundaries, about our infinite nature, about our transcendent being. And it may be very strong in a sense of our mystical abilities, our psychic abilities, our inner wizards and inner mystics, inner poets, inner dreamers. And sometimes we may feel during this time, because when Saturn enters Pisces, Saturn will stay here for another 2.5 years, and this will have huge influence on us collectively and individually on a large scale, because Saturn in Pisces reminds us of our own intoxications. It will show us where we are being toxic and where we are being delusional, where we are being misled by ourselves, our self-limitations, our own illusions. We will be facing our own illusions, and we may see a collective illusions and collective mass hypnosis, and it will be very sobering moment. Saturn is about sobering moment. It's about reality, and Pisces is much about otherworldly reality, something that is intangible, while Saturn is tangible. Pisces is about things that have no borders, have no boundaries, and goes beyond borders and boundaries, while Saturn puts those borders and orders and boundaries. So they are a bit conflicting, and we may feel this inner conflict within ourselves, and we may see this conflict in external world as well. It will have to do a lot with our beliefs and our faith and our religious views and the religion in the collective, the global religion, all religions. Pisces rules all religions that exist. And on the highest expression of Pisces, this is about the unconditional experience of oneness, of unity, of the unity field where everything is actually one, the source. And Saturn wants to make things very realistic and to take things practically, to make them practical, tangible, structural, methodical. But it also puts limitations and rules and gives us obstacles, because Saturn gives us lessons in this sense. And we are going to face many things during this Saturn in Pisces transit next 2.5 years, starting from the 7th of March. We will definitely have to work on our addictions. We will definitely have to work on the things that we do that are toxic for ourselves. Where are we intoxifying ourselves? Where are we escaping reality? Pisces wants to escape reality. For example, it may seem as this reality is too dense, too thick, and like real life is boring. It's not magical, so we need some magic, and we run into fantasies, and we escape the real life. This can go into this extreme because Saturn wants reality, but Pisces has a need to escape the reality. And we may use all kinds of things in order to escape this reality, but sooner or later, this transit of Saturn in Pisces will face us with those illusions, misconceptions, delusional games, escapism modes, addictions, and our damaging habits and routines. We will have to do a purification process, definitely. It's a purging time for us collectively, and Pisces is about self-healing, so it's time to take some serious steps towards self-healing, to be very serious about it. Saturn, serious and real. So we may start to take some serious steps about becoming truly spiritual beings. Pisces, spiritual journey. And on this journey, we will have to be more responsible. This is about our mental and emotional responsibility. It's about our maturity. We are becoming more aware of how important those hidden processes are. Pisces, hidden processes that we don't see, are unconscious fears that run the show on unconscious level. Things that we have suppressed and that we have forgotten about, things that we have buried on the bottom of our being, are unfathomable depths. We are reaching the depth of ourselves. We have to hit the rock bottom in order to rise up again. But we may feel stuck from time to time because we may be afraid to go to the bottom, but unable to rise to the top. Because in order to rise to the top, we may have to sink down into those oceanic depths. Saturn in Pisces, we will get serious with our emotional depths. We will have to get serious about them. And, we may also have to deal with certain psychosis. And this can be collective psychosis, as I said, mental, collective delusions, mass hypnosis. This is when the world may seem too thin. And, when we don't know how to tell the difference between what's real and what's unreal. This is also Saturn in Pisces. We may not know the difference between what's real and what's not real. And this can push us towards fantasizing. But also our ability to imagine and visualize things may be a little bit limited in some way because of this Saturn here. But what is the main point of this transit? What is our main task during this time? It is, of course, to get serious, as I already said, with our addictions, and our addictions can be many. These addictions don't have to be only related to, drugs, alcohol, food. These addictions can be emotional addictions as well, mental addictions, certain feelings that put us in a comfort zone from where we don't have any need to make any change. But we will have to make changes. Saturn in Pisces is a lot about changing those mental structures. It's about restructuring our spiritual map, our network, our emotional and mental network needs to be restructured. And Pisces has a lot to do with all those inner processes, with our dreams, with the symbols that we perceive, with synchronicities, with entities, with spirits, with guides. And some of us may be able to get in touch with our deep selves with our essence, because whatever we see outside of us won't have that strength to guide us. So the only guidance that we are actually able to rely on will be our own inner guidance. And this is the ultimate message of this transit, is to learn to find that inner compass. And we have to touch that bottom in order to come back. And these layers of illusions need to be addressed. So we will be addressing those layers of illusions. And there is this desire to be saved or rescued also. This is that archetype that may have a strong influence on us collectively. The desire to be saved, the desire to be rescued, or desire to save and to rescue others. This is because the archetype of victim is very strong when Pisces is affected. And the question is, where do we feel like victims? This Saturn in Pisces will show us where we feel victimized. But we will also see where we are playing the role of the opposite of the victim, of the perpetrator, because these two roles are completing each other. So if we feel as victims, we are also on the other side of the role in some other in somebody else's perception. So as long as we feel as victims, we play this game of hide and seek, and we tend to lose the connection with ourselves and with others. So this transit will show us where we feel victimized, where we feel wounded on that level, and how those unconscious fears run the show of our life. Because we may feel like it will never work out. Some of us may go through these periods of time during these next 2.5 years, starting from the 7th of March, like it will never work out for me. Like we may feel stuck in something, like it's happening forever. But this is just, again, an illusion that Saturn in Pisces will create, and it will seem very real. It will be very realistic, because this is a necessary process as well. I'm not saying that everyone will experience this, but those of us who may experience this, it's very important to know that this is another play. It's just a stage of Saturn in Pisces, because it's showing us the path to our inner essence. It's showing us path when we don't see when we don't find an answer outside, when we cannot find that what we are looking for outside of ourselves. We have to look within. There is nowhere else to look. We may we may feel like we've drained all the sources and resources externally, like we've visited everyone who can help us in that way. Therapists, doctors, astrologers, psychiatrists, holistic healers, all kinds of healers. And we may feel exhausted and drained because we don't see any change. Or people who thought that they have succeeded thanks to these people outside of themselves, they may face illusions and see that they are still fighting the same battles from the past. So we may be a little bit obsessed by our past as well when Saturn transits Pisces, because Pisces is a lot about the past, and Saturn is also about the past. So this is what brings them together. This is what connects these two archetypes. And there is some kind of ending. There is definitely some kind of ending there. Pisces is about ending, preparing for new beginning, but closing one big chapter. And Saturn is also about ending and releasing karma, and also putting a dot on that journey. So we are definitely closing some big chapter, but it will be a process. It won't happen overnight, but we will start getting the clues starting from that 7th of March. So Saturn deals with structures and boundaries, while Pisces have no boundaries and no structures. So we will have to find that balance between these two. Whenever we feel like we are going into that extreme of having no boundaries, let's remember that we have help from Saturn, and we can create we need some structures and boundaries in this world. And again, if we feel too structured, too much immersed into those boundaries, too rigid, too restrictive, let's remember that there is this archetype of Pisces where we can give ourselves some break and be able to rest and relax in a serious way. This can also play out in that way, like we are asked to seriously take care of our well-being, to seriously find ways to get some rest, to be in a space of being, and to bring intangible reality into the tangible reality. This would be another task of Saturn in Pisces, to make the intangible tangible, to make the invisible visible, to make the untouchable touchable, to make the unknown known, to make the otherworldly worldly, to bring our inner world into the world and to share it, to make it concrete, to give it form and shape. This would be a great energy of Saturn in Pisces, to make that inner world, to bring it into manifestation, to make our dreams come true. Pisces, dreams, to make them true, to make them real, Saturn. So Saturn in Pisces, we will definitely have a lot of opportunities to make our dreams come true. And there are going to be many, many lessons, and we will definitely have to work on that detox. Collective self-healing, collective detox, but we all have to do it for ourselves. And there are going to be probably collective events that will put us in those situations where we will have to individually work on self-healing and healing from all kinds of addictions and all kinds of attachments that are toxic for us. Toxic relationships, toxic feelings, toxic family relations, toxic past patterns that we keep repeating. All these toxic things will need to be brought out. It will be like a process of throwing up, actually, Saturn in Pisces, because our bodies and our emotional and mental bodies are definitely intoxicated a lot, and because of this transit there is a need to bring that out and to make ourselves as pure as possible, to purify those layers of our bodies, because the opposite of Pisces is Virgo, so we tend towards perfectionism, and we will definitely have to work on that healing and detachment from that what we think that defines us. And Saturn has been in Aquarius for the last 2.5 years, and what's important is that only 2 weeks after Saturn comes out of Aquarius, Pluto enters Aquarius. Only 2 weeks after Saturn comes out of the sign, and Pluto in Aquarius Pluto enters Aquarius on the 23rd of March, but it won't stay here for a very long time yet. It won't stay in Aquarius. It won't settle in Aquarius until the end of 2024. So it will retrograde back into Capricorn on the 11th of June. But between the 23rd of March and the 11th of June, we will experience Pluto in Aquarius for the first time after 248 years. So this is once in a lifetime transit. And Pluto has been in Capricorn since 2008. So it's been 15 years where we've been experiencing Pluto in Capricorn. And Pluto in Capricorn has been tearing down the structures a lot, and this is still ongoing process. It's not the end, because Pluto will come back into Capricorn, but we will see what this means for us during these couple of months between March and June. Pluto will be in Aquarius And once Pluto enters Aquarius in the late 2024, it will stay there for another 20 years, all the way until 2044. So it's a very long transit, and Pluto has a strong collective influence on global events. And also, these changes are not overnight. It's something that happens in cycles. And between these months of March and June, we will have a sneak preview of what this Pluto in Aquarius will mean for us in those 20 years ahead of us. And it will definitely change our society. This is definitely a change of how we perceive society, how we perceive relationships with people, our friendships, what it means, what it means to be connected with one another. This affects our humanitarian principles, our humanitarian needs and wants. And that is why I mentioned in previous video, Full Moon in Cancer, that starting from this year and onwards, the most important thing will be to become a true human being, to give our best to become a true human being. And this is, of course, related to this age of Aquarius that we are approaching, or actually that it is happening right now, but we are on the edge between two ages, between the age of Pisces and the age of Aquarius. And what's interesting is that Saturn enters Pisces and Pluto enters Aquarius. So we will have micro image of what these times mean, of what this possible battle between the ages mean for us individually and collectively. So we are moving towards this age of information. But it's very important to know that information is not knowledge. We have to work on transforming and converting information into true knowledge. This has to become alive. It's not only about collecting information and receiving data that has been given to us randomly. It's about us using our body, using all our senses, using all our equipment that we have, because our body is actually the most advanced technology that we have. Because Aquarius is related to technology, and we are going to learn that the most advanced, the highest technology is our body, and it's us as human beings. Not only our physical body, but our bodies that we have on a subtle level as well. And we may understand that technology is not good or bad. We make it good or bad. The way we use it makes it good or bad. And it will be a very interesting theme of transhumanism versus humanism. And this has all been interpreted in a book that we have, The Age of Aquarius, that you can find on Moon Omens website, which is also, we have a new website, so you can check it out. And there are many other books that are really very helpful for all that we are going through. And this knowledge is something that we need to start using, the knowledge that we have to apply to walk the talk, to really make that information into a true knowledge, into a live knowledge. And then knowledge becomes wisdom when we start living that knowledge. So it's our task collectively to use information that we have in a real way, in a powerful way, in a right way, and make that information knowledge, and then by living that knowledge to turn that into wisdom, into experience, into a live experience. And Pluto in Aquarius, even though it will only be for a short time between March and June, it will definitely show us a small image, a sneak peek preview of what these 20 years between 2024 and 2044 will bring to us collectively. Pluto is the lord of death, of transformation, of regeneration. So we should see regeneration of generations, or maybe also degenerations will happen. But of course this will happen for each of us differently, on a different level, according to our individual path. But let's remember that we are all in this together as well. But for each of us, there is a different path. And we may understand that in this day and age, we have to become true human beings and to understand that there is no, better or worse time for something, because Aquarius archetype is very much related to time. Saturn is the original ruler of Aquarius, and Saturn is the lord of time. So this moment of understanding that there is no better or worse time, there is only now in its essence. The time is not moving, we are moving through time. We are changing the perception of time. Time can, time can pass quickly or slowly depending on our perception or depending on what we are going through. And we all know that when we are in pain, when we are suffering, when we feel something, that is torturing us, time goes slowly. It seems like it's never going to end. But when we experience something beautiful, something enjoyable, time just flies. And of course, we are understanding this now on a deeper level, that time is not actually moving, but we are moving through time and space and as matter and energy in this world. And these principles continuously become their opposite. Matter can become energy, energy can become matter, time and space, matter and energy. These are also the four elements of this reality, and four is also the number of stability, as this physical reality needs four dots on the foundations of everything. So it's really, really important to understand that we need these solid foundations. Now I come back to Saturn in Pisces. Saturn is the original ruler of Aquarius, and Saturn has been in Aquarius during the last 2.5 years. And now Pluto comes there to completely transform what Saturn has put there as foundations, to transform what is not good there. So we will see this, it will be a process, as I say again. So what we have invested in during these 2.5 years, these previous 2.5 years, is going to be tested, and it's going to be transformed, and maybe is going to be ruined completely by Pluto's transit through Aquarius, because Pluto is there to check it all out, to see if the foundations are really working, to see if there is really a strong foundation there, or if it needs to be torn down completely and rebuilt again. And we are learning this now to understand that big changes are really in front of us, but this year is still not there. We are still learning, we are still going through processes that have greater impact on our soul and on our journey. And then we are going to be able to apply these lessons slowly but surely. 2023 is like a bridge between the worlds. We are operating between two worlds, and we are actually always in this state of being. We are always between two worlds, between our inner and outer world, but it will be very much obvious in 2023. So our last couple of years, last 2 to 3 years, it has been as like we've been walking through the mud, and it's been sticky, it's been heavy. We have created so many scars, but these scars created new highways, and these scars are actually now are going to be our guides for the future. So our scars from the past are going to guide us into the future, and Pluto in Aquarius will bring transformations of the social norms in a big way, and it will teach us how to collaborate in this world, how to bind the society together, to get involved with groups of people because Aquarius has a lot to do with groups of people and with the power of people. So it's all about the power of people, and the age of Aquarius, it's all about being that human being, as I said, but understanding what it truly means to be a human being. How can we use all that we have been given? How do we use our bodies? How do we use our minds? How do we use our hearts? How do we use our hands? How do we use our words? How do we use our senses, our sight, our hearing? How do we use all abilities that we have? How do we use our creative skills? All this is about the age of Aquarius, and this Pluto in Aquarius is getting us closer there. It will be a long process, and it's changing our goals and ambitions for the future. It's definitely transforming and maybe even killing some of our dreams and ambitions that we've been building our whole life. Something that we've been working on our whole lives may be torn apart when Pluto is transiting Aquarius. But if this happens in order for us to understand the greater meaning of this path and journey. We are not here just to collect the goodies. We are not here just to enjoy the sweets of life. We know that sweets are sweet, but they are not always good and healthy for us, right? And this is what Pluto in Aquarius is going to teach us, amongst many other things, that sometimes what is sweet and what looks seducing and what we really want, what we hope for, may not actually be so good for us. And some of us may be able to achieve those goals and ambitions that we've been dreaming of our whole lives, and once we achieve it, we may feel empty on the inside. We may feel like, not a big deal, I don't want it now. It's not important anymore for me. And it's also about not becoming obsessed by anything, which doesn't mean that if we become obsessed by something, it's bad. It's not bad. It will teach us, again, something about it. But as long as we know what we should or shouldn't do, it's very good to follow some of these guidances, because we may be prone to fanaticism. And again, together, Pluto in Aquarius and Saturn in Pisces, it can be very fanatic energy, collective fanaticism, religious fanaticism, social groups of people forming and creating, cults, sects, groups of people that want to create some ideal utopian world where they are completely delusional, perhaps, where they completely neglect the shadow side of the world and just express the positive vibe, the positive thoughts, without giving people a chance to process their darkness, to process and digest their shadows, which is necessary for that light to be spread and to rise. So we may see this in the world, and some of us individually may be drawn towards those kinds of groups and towards those kinds of fanaticisms. So let's keep ourselves safe from those kinds, and let's be able to learn to discern what is right for us and what is not right for us. And let's remember that nobody will give us this answer but ourselves. All our relationships in the world that we have, they are all based on our relationship with ourselves. So nobody else can give us that deep answer that we are looking for. And actually all our answers for all our questions are actually compressed into only one question and one answer, and that is, who am I? And what do I want? So when we know these things, which I'm not saying it's easy to know, but this is something that will take some time for us to learn. And once we have this knowledge, we can understand, we can protect others from us, as I said in previous video, and we can also, by doing that, bring all of those who are in touch with us on that level of resonating with that truth that they have inside of themselves, not that they have to align with my truth. So it's not about making others align with the truth that I have within myself, but by being able to align with my truth, I am resonating with others, and others have an ability to align with their own truth. And when we have these strong individuals, this is when the collective can become strong. When individuals are strong and independent and self-sufficient, then when they come together into the union, when they create a community of strong individuals, this is when the true power of people comes into the stage. And Pluto in Aquarius will show us how big can be the power of people. So we may see between March and June how big the power of people can be, how big the power of communities can be. But we may also see some dark sides of it, as I already said, these fanaticisms and cold behaviors, detached behaviors, like selfish behaviors in society. We may have to go through those dark expressions of Pluto in Aquarius as well. Pluto is the lord of the underworld, so we will have to go down and see what's wrong there in our society, and also to see what's wrong in our own inner community. What about my inner community? Am I being friends with myself? What is the meaning of a friend? What is a meaning of a community? What do we do in community? Do we compete in community, or do we support each other? We have been taught that we are sinners, but what if we've been continuously what if authorities, parents, schools, churches, governments told us from the beginning that we are the winners instead of the sinners? What if we've been told that we are the winners? Let's think in this way, and let's try to bring that into the world. Let's tell others that they are the winners. Let's think in terms of we are the winners instead of we are the sinners, because then we immediately think that we did something wrong. This is the age of Pisces, the dark archetype of the age of Pisces. Like self-victimization, putting ourselves down, self-pity, thinking we did something wrong, always feeling guilty conscience, feeling ashamed, always blaming ourselves for something. So this is really an energy and time for us to step out of that, to stand up for ourselves, and to see that we have the power to change the script, to change it completely. We don't have to live under those conditionings. And Pluto in Aquarius is going to bring a certain death to that kind of thinking, and a certain ending to some social structures. Our social structures are going to be completely different by the time Pluto ends its transit through Aquarius, which will be in 20 years. But now, this 2023 will be a short micro level of what this is going to be about. And this is the explorations of what it means to be human, and how we can live together as one big family, because I already spoke about this again in that full moon in Cancer video, how we can all live together and experiment with what it means to be a true human being. And to do that, we must confront and integrate the shadow side. And the shadow side of our human nature is natural. It's not something that we have to put away. If we put it away, we put away a very huge part of us. And this unconscious part of us is much greater than the conscious part of us. So if we remove that shadow part of us, that unconscious part of us, we are not complete human beings then. We are just living again a fake thing. So we are also going to be confronted with those fake things with fake teachers, fake gurus, fake masters, fake spiritual teachings, fake friends, fake fake friends towards ourselves being fake towards others and towards ourselves. So these things are going to be revealed. What is fake is going to be revealed very much, and it may be hard because we have to face and confront these things, but we shouldn't try to repress or control these things. We cannot control that which is outside of our control. We have to surrender sometimes. We definitely have to surrender sometimes. And we are redefining our humanity. We are redefining what it means to be a true human being. And we have to examine all our identities. And we will do that for sure while Pluto is in Aquarius. We are going to do a deep research of all our roles and all our attachments and all our illusions as well, and the roles that we play in society and how we contribute to society. And our identity is largely shaped by the society in which we live in. We all know that. We would be completely different persons if we lived somewhere else in different kind of society. If we have, for example, local community, certain local community has a very strong influence on how we behave, who we are, what kind of career we choose, what kind of role we play in family relations, what kind of role we play in society. So society has a huge influence on our personality and individuality. So the process of individuation can be very painful, but it's painful because we are removing those fake layers, those illusionary layers from ourselves. We are addressing lies that we've been telling to ourselves, lies that we've been living, lies that we've been thinking they are true. So we are now breaking through these lies. And we are definitely going to feel stripped in some way. So the question is this really who I am? Where is that line between me and the society? Is the society a reflection of me, or am I the reflection of society? How we are connected and disconnected. Where does it begin and where does it end? And who we are when all these things are stripped away. Who am I when all the social norms and social rules and social structures are stripped away? Who am I then? Many of us will be faced with this because there are going to be events that will put us in that situation where we will have to ask ourselves these questions. And it's really about understanding the deeper truth and the deeper wisdom behind these archetypes, and understanding that collective map that exists, the spiritual map and network that connects us all. So one thought, only one thought, can change somebody else's perception on the other side of the world. For example, I am sharing these things, and somebody on the other side of the world can hear only one thought from here and perceive it in their own way, and this can completely change this person's perception and can influence his or her decisions, big decisions of life, and can affect their soul path. But again, it's all in alignment with the soul's evolutionary journey. And we are also learning this, and on the highest level we understand that we find in our heart the knowledge of knowing that the self of one is the self of all. Again, the self of one is the self of all, and we have to make a contribution that benefits all of us. Because if I make contribution that benefits only me and not others, then I'm not doing something right. Because the age of Aquarius and Pluto in Aquarius and Saturn that's been in Aquarius during these last 2.5 years will show us this. And if we make decisions that only bring contributions to us, we will very quickly be confronted by with the consequences of choosing those kinds of paths. So we definitely have to choose the path of doing things that benefit us all. So it's about the mutual connection, mutual happiness. But because of this, we will see strong separations in society, on a larger scale and on a smaller scale also, in our local communities and in global communities, and with our friends and with our brothers and sisters and with our soul family and with our real family. All our connections with people and us being in a group of people and us in a and us being programmed and reprogrammed and reshaped by social standards and social norms. This is all going to show us where we are making wrong moves and where we're making right moves. But again, this is between the right and wrong, and on a larger scale of events, nothing is right or wrong. Everything is there as something purposeful that we have to use in order to learn things. So these times that are in front of us are very important for us learning to be independent, to be mature, to use our power. Pluto is about the power. To use the power of being an individual in order to bring that power in the social world, in our society, to bring that power of people on a really high level, to see how powerful we are as a family. Because when family is in harmony, nothing can move them. Nothing and no one can move them. They are invincible. When there is a strong family unit, they are definitely invincible. And this is what we are moving towards. This is what should be our goal, our mission, to create that strong family unit in the world so that we can be invincible as we are. But first recognize that invincible strength in ourselves. And by doing that, let's come into connection with others who can also do the same, and let's see how powerful and invincible we are, especially when we are together. And we know when there are two people, they are much stronger than when I'm alone doing something. And when there are three, they are even more stronger. So imagine when many people come together with the same goal, with the same intention, with true knowledge and with the truth in their heart. This is the power that really transforms everything for the better. So this is one of the goals of the Pluto in Aquarius. In short and in general, of course, the story is much larger and has many details, but we don't have time now to go into so many details. And also another very important transit that happens in 2023 is Jupiter changing signs in May. On the 17th of May, Jupiter enters Taurus. But until that middle of May, Jupiter is in Aries, in fiery Aries, and Jupiter has already been in Aries before. And now it's again in Aries, and it will blaze through the sign of Aries from January until May. It will just run through the sign, and Aries is already very fast archetype. It has that speed, and Jupiter in Aries can amplify that motion, and things can really change very quickly, and things can grow very quickly, and we may feel confident, and we may feel great courage and strong desires to take actions, to take risks. Thanks to Jupiter in Aries, we are supported to take risks. So between January and May, middle of May, whatever risks we have to take, let's do it in this period of time, because Jupiter in Aries will definitely help us to take some risks, and it will give us courage in those places where we've been discouraged, or in those places where we felt afraid of doing something. Now we have an ability to do it with Jupiter in Aries. And we may also feel too confident about something, so let's be also aware of those dangers of Jupiter in Aries, because Jupiter has a tendency to expand and to amplify things, to make things bigger and to magnify things. So this can be, the expansion of fire. And let's take care of, making some dangerous moves and thinking that we are able to do just anything. Let's remember, when we feel too confident about something, let's take a step back and think things through. Because we have to try to slow down. If we see that we are moving too fast, we have to slow down and think things through. Count to 10 before we act, because we may react very quickly, react even before something happens. This is Jupiter in Aries. And this is the archetype of warrior. So we can use Jupiter in Aries between January and May to increase that inner warrior energy in us, and to really do some things that we are usually afraid of doing, especially after the 12th of January, because this is when Mars, the ruler of Aries, starts finally to move direct after being retrograde since the 30th of October of 2022. So this is when we will have like the full steam ahead. Like finally we have that oomph moment, like move forward. We can finally move forward. And we will see things that have been stuck, things that we've been investing in, things that we've been putting a lot of efforts and that have been unsuccessful, are now starting to give some results from that middle of January until May, especially until that middle of May, because Jupiter in Aries together with Mars direct will definitely give us that push forward. And then Jupiter changes signs and enters Taurus, where it will be until the May of 2024. So one whole year Jupiter will be in Taurus, and Jupiter hasn't been in Taurus for the last 12 years. Jupiter spends 1 year in each sign, and every 12 years he repeats the cycle. So Jupiter in Taurus again triggers the themes that we've already been dealing with because of eclipses that have been going on in Taurus and Scorpio since 2021. And these eclipses are still not finished. They are still going to be in the process during 2023. In October, late October, there is the last eclipse in Taurus in this cycle of Taurus-Scorpio eclipses. So Jupiter in Taurus brings again those themes to the extreme. Themes of finances, financial stability, resources, our wealth, our self-worth, things that we need in order to survive in this world: food, clothes, shelter, money, our resources, our earnings, not only our material resources, but also our emotional resources. And it will be very important to know the limits, to know our limits, not to go into extremes of overspending, or maybe doing the opposite of saving too much money, because we may see these extremes of people being afraid of losing resources and losing money, so they are saving so much, and in the end it may turn out that it has been totally unnecessary, because what they've been saving may not be usable anymore in some time. So it's very important to be self-sufficient. This is the lesson of Taurus, self-sufficiency, to be able to provide to ourselves all that we need without being afraid of not having something, because Taurus is the element of earth, and it's very much related to Mother Nature, and the ruler of Taurus is Venus. And these are great resources, and we are never left with nothing. We can always create something, especially with Jupiter in Taurus. This is the rise, maybe rise of prices, but also rise of earnings. And also the themes of inflations will be again important and active, but this is not something that will last for a long time. Jupiter is here for 1 year, and Uranus is also in Taurus, and North Node is still in Taurus until the 17th of July, when these nodes change signs and enter Aries and Libra. So until then, Jupiter will meet North Node, and between May and middle of May and middle of July, we may experience some strong and unexpected changes in the economic system, but also about how we take care of ourselves, our bodies, our resources. Do we know how to survive in this world without products, but with real resources that Mother Nature has given us? Do we know how to grow our own food? Do we know which food is real and which food is unreal? Do we honor the fruits that Mother Nature gives to us? Do we know how to correlate with these natural elements? Do we appreciate the water that we have? Do we drink real water or unreal water? Do we eat real food or unreal food? Do we have real values, or do we have fake, twisted values? What are true values for us? What are my true priorities? What are my priorities when in those moments when I feel threatened, when I feel unstable? What are my priorities then? Jupiter in Taurus expands our desires for abundance and for pleasures. So it inspires us to create more stable foundations for life, but it can lead us towards being too materialistic, towards being only focused on building wealth and building material abundance. And this is, I'm not saying it's bad, but we have to know the limits. Let's not go over the top. Let's not, be too focused only on that, because this world is much greater than just matter. It's not only matter. Matter is only one element. We see this also through astrology. There are 4 elements. Earth is related to matter. Water is related to energy. Air is related to time, and fire is related to space. So it's not only matter. Let's remember this. There are some more subtle energies behind this that dictate the manifestations in this physical world. And this is the pleasures of senses. But we can awaken those subtle senses too. It's not only about the physical senses. It's about really tasting the reality of life and knowing how to use our own resources, our inner resources. What is my greatest resource? What is my greatest talent? What is my greatest priority in life? This will be the main question for Jupiter in Taurus. And We may also have lack of self-discipline during this time. We may become lazy, maybe, because of Jupiter in Taurus. And this is something that will give us unnecessary focus on things that really matter. If we become lazy, this is not necessarily bad, because we may become lazy for material things, but we may become very active for those subtle inner spiritual things. And this year is really powerful bridge between us being here in our roles, in our personalities, being identified with social norms and restrictions and limitations and beliefs, and the real us, the us, the me who is stripped away from all these rules and limitations and beliefs. So this is really the bridge between personality and essence, between who I think I am and who I really am, between my personality and being true human being. So I really hope that we will all going to work towards becoming that true human being. And I invite you all to check out the yearly horoscopes of 2023 on Moon Omens website. There are yearly horoscopes for each sign, and there you can find all the details of all these transits and many more things and how it will affect each of you. And I recommend that you read for your ascendants, for your ascendants is the most accurate one. And I hope that it can give you a greater guidance and knowledge that you can use for the very best. I love you all, and I hope this helped you in some way and gives you some guidance that you can use as information to turn it into knowledge and to live it and turn it into wisdom. Bye bye.